Well, in this video, you've got Mr. Everything English, and I want this video to be the go-to video for your English language paper 1 revision. I want to talk you guys through everything you must do on the day of your exam. So let's begin. First things first, how long is English language paper 1 from the AQA exam board? It is 1 hour 45 minutes. The time is split as follows. You spend 15 minutes reading the source, planning, highlighting, doing all that stuff. Then you spend 5 minutes on question 1, 10 minutes on question 2, 10 minutes on question 3, 20 minutes on question 4, and 45 minutes on question 5. That will take you up to the full exam time. That will take you to 1 hour and 45 minutes. But the order in which I want you to do the exam is as follows. I want you all to read the source first. Then I want you to do question 5. Then I want you to do question 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the reason I want you to read the source is because I want you to get familiar and remind yourself of what a good piece of writing looks like before you jump into your own question 5. So once you've read the source and you've gotten some ideas from the source, you begin your question 5, which will either be describing a picture or writing a story. Now the reason you do question 5 first before any other question is because question 5 is worth half of the marks. This is the question that will make or break your exam. This is the question where a lot of what happens on your exam, on your results day, will rely upon question 5. So for question 5, you either describe the picture or you write the story. Now I advise all of my students to go for the story, because I think it's easier to get higher marks on the story. A lot of the people who end up describing the picture end up telling a story and they kind of go off task. Now what do you do for your story? I've made lots of videos about this, but I'll do a quick recap. Firstly, you make sure your story is compelling. Make sure it's interesting. Then you make sure every single paragraph of your story has at least 2 language devices, 2 ambitious verbs, 1 piece of punctuation that isn't a comma or full stop, and long and short sentences. And then you repeat that in every paragraph of your story. Hopefully the examiner will give you the marks the whole way through. And that is question 5. And then you do question 1. Question 1 is a 5-minute question, but some of you may be able to do it in a minute or 2. All you do is you cut and paste. You copy and paste 4 quotes from the extract that answer the question. So for example, if it says, how is John shown in the first 4 lines, you simply find 4 quotes that describe the way John is shown and you copy and paste them. But before you copy and paste the quote, please write John is shown, he is shown, she is shown, depending on the question. Don't just copy and paste blue hair, pink eyes, purple head. Yeah, always introduce your quote. You don't explain it, you don't infer, you simply copy and paste. Now question 2 is an 8-mark question, and for this question you spend 10 minutes. And this question is the language question. So you want to write 3 paragraphs in 10 minutes talking about whatever the question asks of you. So you might say, how does the writer use language to explore the effect of the weather? For each paragraph, you pick 1 language device or language feature. This could be a verb or an adverb, or it could be a simile and a metaphor. Your marks are in how you explain the effect. Please don't language spot. When I say language spot, I mean don't just pick out similes, metaphors, imagery, rule of 3, personification, adjectives, verbs, nouns. Don't just bounce around. Write a lot about a little. So focus. Each paragraph, my advice, just talk about 1 language technique, but really explain the effect of this technique. The structure for each paragraph is as follows: point, evidence, infer. Your point is the writer uses a simile to show how the weather is very aggressive. Evidence. This can be seen in the quote. The wind battered the coach like a boxer battering its opponents. And then you explain the effect. And then you repeat. And then you repeat. 3 times, 3 paragraphs, 10 minutes. Question 3 is 8 marks also, therefore you spend 10 minutes also. And this is a structural question. The question will always be, how has the writer structured the text to interest the reader? You want to find one structural technique from the beginning, one from the middle, one from the end. Structural techniques are things like shifting focus, flashback, foreshadowing, thoughts to actions, zooming in, zooming out. These are all structural techniques. Introduction of new characters, cyclical settings. All of these are structural techniques that you want to talk about. Again, it's the same as question 2. Talk a lot about a little. Don't just write down every single structural technique you can find. You want to really explain the effect of these techniques and how they create interest. Therefore, you use the same structure. Point, evidence, infer. The writer uses a shift in focus in the very first line of the extract to create suspense. This can be seen in, and then you explain the effect. If the effect where you spend a lot of your time, then you repeat, and then you repeat 3 paragraphs, 10 minutes. I've got videos on these 2 questions, so check them out. Question 4 will give you a statement. So it might say that somebody, having read the source, has said that the writer creates fear. To what extent do you agree? Now, the way they've engineered the question and the statement and the source is that it's always easier to agree than it is to disagree. So that being said, you may want to think about how you can go about that. So my advice, guys, is 4 paragraphs where you agree with the statement. I strongly agree. And then you give your point, you give your quote, and you explain the technique that the writer uses to create that point. And you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat. If you have time, try to do a paragraph where you show the other side of the argument. However, somebody may disagree with the statement because, and then you explain why, but then you destroy it. So guys, 4 paragraphs, 5 minutes each, explaining why and how you agree with the statement. And that is the entire English language exam. Do not spend longer than the allocated time for each of those questions because it's not worth it. You could write 10 pages for an 8-mark question, but you're only going to get 8 marks. Question 4 and question 5 are the game changers. That's where a lot of the marks are. Now, if you're aiming for grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, then you need to make sure that you smash every question. But even then, I would recommend question 5 first, then question 1, then question 2, then question 3, then question 4. Alright guys, that is a complete overview of English language paper 1 GCSE exam. Any questions, anything you're not sure about, drop me a message, drop me a DM on Instagram. As always guys, thank you for watching. Like the video, share the video, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It's been Mr. Everything.